Hi, welcome to English 112. I'm Jordan Billington. I'm your instructor for the semester. This video is going to serve the purpose of really giving you just an introduction to our course and telling you a little bit about myself and what my expectations are for this semester. So I've been teaching part-time at Central Piedmont for the last few years and have only recently in the fall, actually last fall, I started teaching online. And I've been very excited about it. When I was in grad school, I took several online courses and I really appreciated the flexibility of an online course. So I was very excited to transform my traditional face-to-face class into a virtual one. And for some of you, this may be your very first online class, or this could be your third, fourth, however many online classes. You may be a pro at Blackboard, and that's great. But my goal is, no matter where you are in the online Blackboard modules, that my course is at the very least easy to navigate. I want to make sure that I've created a virtual learning space that is flexible, and then I want to absolutely facilitate independent and self-paced learning that I think is very wonderful about online courses. And I also think it's very useful and it works very well in an English course or humanities course. So we'll see what you think at the end of the semester. So I mentioned that I am a part-time instructor at Central Piedmont. That's because I do work full-time at UNC Charlotte. So I am at UNCC during the day, which means that this semester, as we interact with each other, as we communicate back and forth, there's a good chance that you're going to be hearing back from me in the evenings. That just tends to be the best time for me to sit down and respond to emails. So if you send me an email, I do try to respond to emails pretty quickly. I don't like for things to sit in my inbox for too long. So if you shoot me an email, chances are you're going to hear back from me that evening or within 24 hours. And that doesn't include weekends or holidays, obviously. But traditional business days, Monday through Friday, you shoot me an email, chances are you're going to get a response from me pretty quickly. But just to talk about office hours, because we are an online class, there is not going to be a time for us to have a face-to-face meeting. Instead, if we need to have a conference, if something's going on, or we need to have some kind of meeting between the two of us, it'll more than likely be a virtual meeting, so Skype or Google Hangouts. Or we can just email back and forth, whatever works for you. It's just that there are multiple campuses, so I'm assuming that all of you live in different places in Charlotte, or all across Charlotte, and then of course neighboring cities. So it's impossible for me to travel to all the different campuses to meet you at wherever you're located. So I'm happy to meet with you, but it'll have to be a virtual meeting, and we can talk about that as the situation arises. So I think the really big thing that we need to talk about is that this is a short session. So your class is only 8 weeks, which is good and bad. It's good because in 8 weeks you're finished with English 112, which is great for you, but it's also very quick. So in 8 weeks I have to squeeze in what I would traditionally do in a 16-week course. Now, that's not to say that your syllabus looks identical to a 16-week semester just squeezed into 8 weeks, because I have taken into consideration the short time frame that we're working in. And so, to give you an example, for a traditional 16-week course, you would write 4 papers for me. For a short week, for a short session course, you're going to write 3 papers for me. And we'll talk a little bit about the syllabus in just a minute. But I think the most important thing to note here is that because the course is only 8 weeks, we do move very quickly. So it does require you to be very proactive. You need to stay on top of things. You need to be checking your deadlines. You need to be checking the due dates. You need to be checking your to-do list that I'll post each week. You just need to be making sure that you're mindful of the short time frame that we're working in. So I just want to make that clear now. This is my first time teaching an 8-week course online. I'm very excited and a little nervous to see how it goes. But the key is just to be proactive as you're completing assignments as we're going through these 8 weeks. Okay, so the syllabus, this week you're going to read through the syllabus for me and you're going to complete the syllabus quiz, which is your EVA assignment. The EVA assignment is the Central Piedmont rule. It's basically that every class has to include an EVA assignment in the first week of class, and your completion of that keeps you enrolled in the course. So if the 10% deadline comes around, and that is a really quick deadline for you guys since we are in 8 weeks instead of 16, if the 10% day of the class comes around and you haven't completed the EVA assignment, it does not matter if you've completed everything else. If you didn't do EVA, Central Piedmont will remove you from the class. It's just their way of verifying attendance. It's just their way of verifying enrollment. So you're going to want to make sure that you're completing that assignment as quickly as possible, since it is the EVA assignment. So syllabus quiz, make sure you finish it this first week. And then if we start to look more at the syllabus, I mentioned that you're doing 3 papers for me this semester, and you're doing, all 3 of those are going to be worth a total of 45% of your final grade. Your first paper is the question paper. It's a 10% component of your final grade. And the question paper it's going to be a little bit more relaxed than your other 2 papers. It's going to be not as strenuous as far as the requirements are concerned. It's really just my way of gauging where you are, where you got to in English 111, and just my way of trying to figure out where you are and where we need to get to. And the next paper you'll complete for me is the debunking stereotypes assignment. It's worth 15% of your final grade. And every assignment will, with time, will become, obviously the requirements get a little bit more strenuous, it gets a little bit more specific, so this one is worth 15%, and the final paper you'll complete for me is your argument paper, and that'll be 20% of your final grade. Now the argument paper is going to serve the purpose of not only your final paper, but it's also going to be, it's going to take the place of your final exam. So we're not going to have a final exam in our course. Instead, you will submit your argument paper to me, and that'll qualify as our final exam. Basically, it's just 3 papers, and you'll submit it in time for me to have time to grade them and get your final grade before the end of the 8 weeks. The next big part of your final grade is the biggest part, and that's your classroom activities. I will, throughout the semester, assign activities. There will be 3 of them, each for 10%, so 30% total. And these will be your citation assignment, your thesis assignment, and your reading assignment. So as we start talking about citations and using sources, that's when I'll assign the citation assignment. These assignments are 2 to 3 pages, typically. Assignment sheets, they're really just for you to, it's just practice. It's for you to practice creating citations, correcting citations. It's for you to show me that you are familiar with MLA formatting and the correct way to use sources and to cite those sources in work. So that'll be citation assignment. Your thesis assignment is very similar to the citation, only you're going to be working with thesis statements, obviously. And that assignment will come about when we start talking about the thesis statements in our course. And then the last assignment is the reading and thinking critically. We'll spend a week or so talking about how we evaluate sources and how we read sources and how we think critically about what's going on in the conversation, what's currently being said, and that dialogue of whatever issue we're working in, and trying to think critically and interpret what's being said and what we can take and what we can push against in our own work. So that'll be one of the assignments. And again, it'll be very similar to the citation and the thesis. It'll be a few pages of an assignment sheet where you will complete some questions, or in the case of the reading assignment, I'll give you a piece, a text, and have you read it critically and complete some questions for me that show me that you've really grasped the meaning and the purpose of the text that you're working in. And lastly, 20% of your final grade, 25%, I apologize, is participation. Now, when I say participation, I know in an online class it seems like that's a silly concept, but participation, what I mean by that is that I'm going to have discussion boards throughout the semester, and I'm going to have you respond to each other in your discussion board. So your discussion posts and your responses, these are going to be factored into participation. Also, any quizzes, reading, or presentation quizzes that I give you, those are all included in that participation. And the last thing that I'll include in participation is your successful completion of the course evaluation. When we get to our final week of class, I will post a link to a course evaluation, and I want you to go in, and it's anonymous. The only thing that I'll see in Blackboard is that you have completed it. So please feel free to be honest. Please give me feedback. I'm constantly looking to improve the courses that I'm teaching, so your feedback is always taken very seriously and always very appreciated. So every week, and just a note before I go any further about the major written assignments, every major written assignment, so those 3, the question paper, the debunking stereotypes paper, and the argument paper, all 3 I will post the assignment sheet, and there will be a rubric attached. And the rubric will actually break down the point system on how I'm grading your work. So you will know ahead of time exactly what the rubric looks like and how I'm going to evaluate your work. I did this last semester. I got a lot of positive feedback on it. People really enjoy rubrics because they know exactly what I'm looking for. There's no There's no vagueness to it. There's no confusion. If you're aware of what I'm looking for in my grading, then chances are you're going to perform at a higher level. So there will be a rubric for all of your major written assignments. Now, the goal for the class is to have weekly videos of either lecture or just me catching up with you to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I do encourage you to watch those. There may be a week where there are no videos because you're doing things like you're completing a final paper or completing a citation assignment and you've got other things going on. In those cases, I may not post any videos, either presentation or just catch-up videos. But the goal is to constantly have some interaction with you, even though we are in a virtual learning space. So that's really about it. I guess the last thing that I should point out is that when you log into Blackboard, and I'm going to send out an email as soon as Blackboard opens up to let you know that I have included all of the week modules under the coursework tab. So when you log into Blackboard, on the left side of the navigation, there's going to say, it's going to be, I think, my course, my instructor, course info, and then there's going to be a coursework link. If you click on that coursework link, that's going to actually open you into, or take you to the different week modules. I have set the course up in modules per week. So week 1 has a module, week 2, week 3, etc. If you click on that particular week, there will always be a to-do list at the top, just to make sure that we are all on the same page as far as what we're doing that week, what is coming up as far as due dates, and what we need to be thinking about long term. So the to-do list will be posted there, and then all the things that you need for that week will be posted in that week too. And the purpose of that is really just to streamline, to keep it all in the same place so that it's easy to navigate. So please feel free at any point if you have questions. My contact information is on the syllabus. I am happy to respond at any point, and I'm very excited to kick off these 8 weeks with you. And as always, please let me know questions, concerns. I am happy to help. So it's going to be a good semester.